guys, welcome to another video. I'm going to be showing you guys today how I make my tarot deck boxes. So each and every one of my tarot decks are handmade by me individually. So it's kind of like as soon as somebody orders it, then I make it. I'm very excited to show you guys how I do it because it is quite an extensive process, but I love doing it. It's actually a lot of fun. It's therapeutic process. So let's get started. If you have any comments or if you're not sure about what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a comment below and I'll try to answer any questions that you guys might have. But yeah, this is how the boxes come when they get printed. There's 2 per page, and so I cut them in half, and I actually already have one that I previously cut from another set, so I'm gonna just use this. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use this this paper cutter to cut down our ends. You wanna like line it up so that it's in the middle. Just I'm gonna lay it down and then cut it through like that. So bam, it's a much simpler cut. And then we're just gonna do that for every angle. And so now that everything is completely cut, what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're going to cut into these other angles, so like these here. So some of these have very specific cuts, as you can see here. This one here has an angle, and this one here also has 2 angles and then a straight cut down. So I'm gonna show you how I do that, but it's a little more complicated, so I'm gonna try to change the angle to get a better view. All right, so you can see here I've kind of done it so that right here there's like a line that goes all the way through to here. So what I'm doing is I'm actually gonna line it up to here, and on the other side to this one here. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that I can get my folded line as well. That's kind of a little hard to explain, but the way that it works is, the way that they do it is there's always a little bit of a tear inside, and that way when you fold the box over, it stays in place. Okay, so for those really sharp angles and those really like weird cuts, I'm actually just gonna use a normal pair of scissors. The reason why I use a normal pair of scissors instead of the cutting board is because the cutting board has some trouble getting those exact angles. It looks really weird and it's quite difficult. More often than not, I miss. So instead of missing, I'm just going to very carefully make those small little cuts. Especially this one here because the line is almost straight, but it's actually quite hard to see otherwise. So I'm just gonna make those small adjustments. And here I'm going to make this cut here is going to be just a normal cut on the machine. I'm also going to do this one here. And the same on the other side. And then this cut will also be with the cutting board, and I'll show you guys how I do that. So I'm going to just do the other side really quick. Alright, and so we're just going to make we're just gonna make those final cuts. Now I'll show you how I do those. I'm gonna start with this one because this one is actually, in my opinion, the most fun. I really like making this cut. Again, we're going to line it up with this edge here, and we're gonna end it with this edge over here. Now sometimes what I like to do is, in order to make it easier on myself, I'm gonna snip away this little bit of extra. That makes it a little bit easier to line up that last line. And I'm going quite slow so that I don't make any mistakes. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah. So you see how there's like a little bit of white there? I'm actually gonna go over that again with the scissors in order to make that perfect. Even though it probably won't be shown in the final product, probably nobody will notice, but I will notice, so I always take the time to do those little bits. Same with this side over here. It's a little bit there, so I'm just gonna clean that up later. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and do this side. And so for these cuts, I actually go in the center Like I just cut in the center and then I go out to the sides until it's gone and touched. So I go very slowly, but I like them a lot because it's a lot of fun to see it just kind of fall out. I'm gonna just clean this up really quick. All right, so now we are completely done with our cuts, and we're going to now go ahead and do the scoring. So I'm gonna show you on a little scrap piece of paper here. So when you fold something over, like let's say I wanted to fold this over, even if I put, you know, make it nice and pretty, right? You can still see how like raggedy it is, right? No matter what, it's still kind of like, this side is not bad, but this side here, it's still kind of raggedy, right? So if I take a scoring tool, if I were to put that in here, I think you can see it here. Yeah, how it's like really like a nice cut. And then, and also you see here, there's not really much there, but you can already kind of see how there's like an indent. When I fold this over, it's not nearly as raggedy looking. And even on the other side, like it's quite nice looking in comparison. So this is why we do a scoring on this as well. We don't want it to look so raggedy. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and a ruler. Let me get my ruler. Okay, got this little ruler. And I'm going to use this scoring tool. So I'm not going to get extremely up to it. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see, because I have the light kind of on the other side, but it's not exactly up to the mark. There's a little bit of a gap because my score is going to be a little more out. So this will line up perfectly with it if I give it that little bit of a gap. And I do my longs first. And so I'm just gonna speed this up. All right, so as you can see, I did everything. It is all scored. It's very nice and pretty. Now, I don't know if you caught it, but I did mess up a little bit here. I got a little too excited and tried to rush it. This is not going to make a difference. If you see here, you can't see any. I have the light shining on it so you can see if there's any creases. There are no creases here yet. So when I'm going to fold this one, I'm just gonna hold my hand there in place so that it knows which one I want to do. And so I'm just gonna fold everything, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna glue everything together as well. And so far as this box that I made, when I designed this box, when I was making it, I made sure to include this little tab. Now you can see here that one side has the tab and one side doesn't. See, it's on both. So this is the side that I'm gonna glue, and then it's gonna go underneath the tab, and then that way the tab will fold over into the box. So that's the side that I'm gonna glue, and I'm gonna show you that really quick. Okay, so just really quickly, what I did was I glued the inside tab, and you can see there's a little bit of glue that came out, which is not a problem. But what I did was I took a pencil, the eraser end of a pencil, and I just put it on my little plexi here, and I squeezed it down on the inside. That's a great way to make sure that it stays flush and that it's not going to come apart later. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit for about a minute or so and dry. But I have something else that I need to do in order to complete the deck, so I'm actually just gonna set it aside for now, and we'll come back to it in just a minute. The next thing that we're gonna do is the papers that go inside. So the booklet all comes together handmade. And this is actually the second page. I've already printed the first page, which is right here. So we're gonna cut this out really quick. Same way how I do the other thing is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cut it, but there's a little bit of extra that I'm gonna show you. So you see how if I hold it up to the light, there's two lines? The way that this is gonna work is that we're gonna cut the inner line. So on this side's line is the more direct one. So we're gonna cut that side first. And over here, this side is the most inner side. So we're gonna cut this side first. If it was the opposite, we would cut that line. But the way that printers work is that you seldom get a nice overlay. So see here, the middle line is actually really nicely overlaid. That almost never happens. So I usually have to decide between one or the other, but I promise it will come out super nice. So just gonna quickly go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that that's all done, we're going to turn around and we're going to make these papers into a book. Now the best way to do that is to match up the inside numbers. So this one doesn't have a number because it's the first page, so it would be 2, but it's not 2. It's not labeled as 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. As you can see, 12 was already folded over. And basically, we're just going to do exactly as you might assume. We're going to go ahead and fold these over nice and crisply. I'm not worried about scoring these pages because they're supposed to be a little more light and loose. So we've got this one here. We're just going to take these and do the same thing. We're going to try to fold them over, get as nice and close as possible. And make sure to score them with my nails. We're just gonna fold them over like that. Right? You can see the book's really coming together. And here we go, my cover. Okay, nice and scored. Everything is in order. Now you can go ahead and double check that by flipping through it just to be sure. Okay, match the numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then of course 12 and 13. So you can assume that the back pages are correct as well. Now in order to actually staple this together, got a little stapler here. A bigger one is actually preferred because I'm gonna have to do some really fun trickery in order to get this to go in. But I always do it on the outside, and I usually do it so that the back is the one that I have to do the trickery on. I'm just gonna fold it a little. So as you can see here, it's not fully folded over. It's just gonna be enough to where I'm gonna fit it underneath my stapler. It looks really weird, I promise, but it actually works out quite well. Now, you can see here that there's a little bit of a lip, and that's where you actually want to staple so that when it comes down, it's going to come down exactly on there. And you want to try to get as close to the middle of the pages as possible, which I think is about the middle. And then we're going to go ahead and staple, and as it comes out, you can see here that it's pretty much on the line, which is what we want, and that my back end is a little folded here. So I usually just fold this out, and then I fold it under, and I kind of press it in, and voila, all done. Nice and sturdy. So now let's go back to our deck itself. As you can see here, it is pretty well organized and dry, which is great. We're gonna do the bottom pieces. We're gonna fold those in, and this is what I was talking about before, where it's now going to kind of lock into place. You see how this one didn't really do it? But if I press it in, it's gonna latch. So those little latches are great because they're really gonna keep the box nice and steady and together. So now that this is all done, we're gonna stuff the actual deck. If you've never seen this before, you just came to this page because you wanted to learn how to make a box, you can check out this deck on Etsy. I hand drew and hand made everything here. It's a Norse mythology themed deck. Fit nice and sturdy in there, and there's enough space in the pocket to put in the deck's booklet. I just kind of flick that down a little bit, and then I fold these over same as before. And again, should latch into place. So all done. Very nice and simple. There we go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Bye.